Hi, everyone. Good evening. Let's start our presentation for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. The weather is actually nice. It's not raining, so it's 20 degrees outside. So thank you for being here. So I'm Diovana. I'm your host for the night. I don't know if you all can see my colleague Ludo, but he's with us as well. Thank you, Ludo, for being here. And we will start to talk about, let's talk about our company first. We are Expat Housing Network, a company full of expats. We have all come from somewhere to the Netherlands. We bought our houses, or we rented, or we still renting, or we are in the search as well. So we know the field, and we have all been in the same situation you probably are in this stage. We have people from all over the world. I am from Brazil. We have people from Australia, New Zealand, Greece, Cyprus, what else? England, Peru, Turkey, so many people. So let's move on. The goal today is helping to understand the process of buying a house in the Eindhoven region and also in the Netherlands, of course, but I can talk about more specifics about the Eindhoven region. I am here in Eindhoven. I've been here for quite some time, I think for around almost 13 years. And I'm also gonna let you know, everybody, that you meet during the process of buying a house, and at the end of the presentation, we will answer all of your questions. Just a little bit of information. Please ask your questions at the end. We answer all of them really into the end of the presentation. So be free to ask whatever you have to ask. And if you forgot anything afterwards, just at the end of the presentation, you'll see my email address, a telephone number. Please feel free to send me an email afterwards. I will answer them as well. And we also will share the video, the whole webinar video, and the presentation you are seeing right now via your email within a day or so. If you don't get it, please send us an email. So let's talk about a bit of the house market. Probably a lot of you have questions about it and how it goes and how crazy it is and what is happening. So far, what we see in the market is that it's just going. It didn't stop. It didn't slow down. And the other, actually, it's completely opposite. It went even, it grew even more. We see that there are more houses in the market right now. It is starting to get, you can see more houses. I do believe the weather also helps. If you are selling your house and there is a backyard with a lot of plants and everything, this is a good time to show how pretty your backyard is. So it's most likely there will be more houses in the market. But what we see regarding prices is that Corona haven't slowed down anything. We saw last year that the clients that we had last year, they did stop for a while because they were afraid about what would happen with the market. But then after a few months, since Corona didn't go away as fast as we all thought it would go, the market just, they came back, and to buy the house, the market just went literally, I think the word is crazy. It is being hard to buy a house. The prices are going very, very high. So that's what is happening for now. We are not expecting that the market would go down, but we do expect it that it will slow down a little bit. It will grow, but not so fast as we saw last year or the past few months. It grew a lot at the beginning of the year as well. We expecting that it would go up. We still going up, but not so fast. That's what we expect for now. So the market and the price, it develops different by the region. I see that here in Eindhoven is specific for Eindhoven. I would actually consider Veldhoven by now. The prices are different. They are higher than the normal because, of course, people work around here and they want to live as close as the city as they possibly can. So it is much more expensive here than in the city or villages around, such as Geldrop or Sonnenbrugge or Best. A lot of people want to live in Eindhoven because it's close by ASML, high-tech campus, and of course in Eindhoven because it's close to everything, especially the train station, so they can live here and go to any other place. But we see the difference in region. For example, if you look for a house in Helmond, that's about 15 minutes by car from Eindhoven. I think by train would be about 10 minutes. And just so you know, they do have 3 train stations in Helmond, which is it's very, very good actually. Not even Eindhoven has that. So people are looking more in that direction now because the houses are cheaper. The chances are a bit higher, and the chances of not having to go so high in the price it's still a possibility that you don't have to go so high. So that's why it's the difference in prices per region that we talk about it. Supply, demand, and sentiment are key to development. So what we see, and there is a still housing short in the Netherlands, what we see in the market, there are not enough houses, of course. There are too many of us and not enough houses. And we don't see the government catching up with that and building faster and faster. I see a lot of, in Eindhoven especially, I see a lot short stay apartments of 35 square meters, 25 square meters, but not really houses that you can, or big apartments that you could just buy and live with your family or with your partner. But I see a lot of short stay because people were coming a lot before Corona for a short period or a maximum year or so, but not many developments in houses, not many construction sites. So I hope they get better in the future, that you have a plan, but it's not going to go so fast as we need actually. So that also drive the market crazy because everybody wants to buy it. There's not enough, so the competition is high. About buying, buying is not a short term. That's something I always have questions for my clients. What do I think if they should buy or if they should rent? So first of all, if your rent is really expensive, I would say, of course, you should buy it. But if you are intending to leave the Netherlands in the next year or two, depends on the region. I would say don't, because you might have a problem on selling afterwards or even on renting afterwards. But if it depends on the region, if you're buying, for example, the city center in Eindhoven, even if you live in 2 years, I would say, well, it's still a good time to buy. But in general, I would advise you to buy a house and stay with the house and not selling for at least 3 years. Then you can most likely get the money back, even make some profit, and then it would be actually investment. So that would be my advice and for a buying process. 7 steps of buying a home. So we're going to go through each step: mortgage advice, starting the search, viewing, researching properties, submit an offer, inspection and appraisal, purchase contract, transfer deed, and mortgage deed. So we're going to go through every single step. So again, if you have questions, write them in our chat as well. And then Ludo will help me out at the end with all the questions, and we're going to answer them all for you. Mortgage advice, bank or a mortgage advisor. My personal advice as well, would be getting a mortgage advisor. But I can be very simple with the difference. A mortgage, both of them, just so you know, both of them charge for the service. It's not because you have a bank account in a certain bank that they're not going to charge to make your process. They will, like a normal mortgage advisor. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about it. And the price, it's not that different from a normal mortgage advisor. Different is that the bank, if you go, for example, to ABN or Rabobank, you're going to get one quote from one bank, and that's it, right? So if you go to a mortgage advisor in the Netherlands, they have around 42 different institutions, 45 different institutions that provide mortgage. And the mortgage advisor, we as not a company nor a mortgage advisor or a bank, we only have access to a few of them, most likely ABN, Rabobank, ING, and 2 others maybe. It's just a maybe actually, but the mortgage advisor does have access to all of them, and will give you a much better prospect and much better view and all your possibilities. That's something the bank will not do for you. I myself have a mortgage in a completely different institution that's not a bank. It's actually a insurance company. It was much cheaper than the others, so I only had access because I did my mortgage with a mortgage advisor. So that's basically the difference. You have a much variety of products, which the bank will only show his rates, and that's it. For you to get a mortgage, how much more or less you can do a calculation is average 5 times your year grocery salary. We do have a calculator in our website, www.expathousingnetwork.nl. If you can take a look, and more or less you have an idea how much you can borrow from the bank. But more or less you can already calculate it in average 5 times your yearly grocery salary. There are a few banks that don't accept it, things such as a lot of people at ICML, for example, you guys all have a bonus every year. Some banks don't accept it bonus, and I know one bank that doesn't accept the 13th salary, for example. So that makes a difference when for your gross salary, for your amount that you can borrow. So that's again where the mortgage advisor comes in handy. Interest rates and payoff penalty, that's something that you do have to pay. You can negotiate when you're doing your mortgage how much you can pay per year for the mortgage, and to get your payments, to accelerate your payments, to pay a little bit faster, and all those kind of informations about it. That's something you will get it from a good mortgage advisor. So this is Robin. He works for forgot the name of the company. Mr. Mortgage. Mr. Mortgage, he is the one that will share all the information on the mortgage and the best the conditions and the best rates for you. He will help you also prepare all your documents even before you submit an offer or get the offer accepted, which is very, very important that you do before you do anything. You have to check how much you can borrow. You have to check if you have all the documents, because once you get your offer accepted for a house, the process is really, really fast. You're gonna have to sign a contract with maximum, I would say, 2 weeks, but in this market, even in 1.5, and sometimes in 1 week. And for you to be able to sign and not have any problems in the future, not have to pay any fine or anything, all your papers for the mortgage have to be already checked and done, and you have to have everything. So here you do your mortgage application, which the institution you choose together, of course, once your offer gets accepted. Once submit, Robin will chase the bank for updates and confirmation. That's something we also work together, even if you get a mortgage advisor or the bank, to make sure that you have everything in time. You're going to have two important dates in your contract once your mortgage gets accepted: the bank guarantee and also the process for the mortgage itself. So in those dates you need to have everything approved, otherwise you have to pay a fine. So that's something that the mortgage advisor will be doing for you and let everything clear for you to not have any problems and not pay any penalties. Starting the search. So which platform should you go to start the search for your house? So 99% of the house, even more, 99.9% of the house will be on funda.nl, the platform. Most of you probably know by now. What happened is that a few agencies, they put their house on Facebook first or on their own websites first for a few hours before they put on Funda, and then you are able to book a viewing a bit faster than Funda, but afterwards it will be on Funda anyway. So my advice to you is go to your notifications on the phone, select what you are looking for on Funda. You can do that on Funda on the left side of the platform. You can select whatever you're looking for, 2 bedrooms or the size of the plot or the neighborhood and everything, even the price. So you selected everything and you get notifications all the time. A lot of agencies here in Eindhoven and around, they tend to put a lot of houses after 10 o'clock in the evening. We have been seeing that a lot. It's quite tricky. So that's why the notification works so well, because then you get them at 10:30 in the evening. And please send an email right away to you can click on the button, send an email, request a viewing, because that's all you need. You don't choose anything, don't choose dates or anything, just click it, because then you have a chance to pick a date afterwards. The first people to reach out to them are the ones that will get a view. Which neighborhoods? That's very personal. Eindhoven have great neighborhoods. I dare to say that all of them are very nice, actually. You have neighborhoods with more families, neighborhoods with more expats, neighborhoods where they have bilingual schools, where they have the international school. Of course, you have the city center, you have inside and outside the ring, and you have a lot of green areas. So that's something you have to look it up, unfortunately, yourself. If you need any advice, of course, we can always give it to you. But if you don't want to live in Eindhoven and you want to make a good deal, cities such as Nuenen, Geldrop, Best, Veldhoven, what else? Sonnenbrugge, which another one, let me see, Helmond, those are all the little cities around, the villages, they call in Dutch, around, that you could connect, so that you could live nearby. That's easy to get to Eindhoven by bicycle. Even the public transportation is good. So, and you would have not so expensive house, and you might have a better shot when you don't have much savings to overbid, or to be able to buy what the sellers are selling from inside the house, those kind of things. So those are the neighborhoods that you should maybe looking for. With or without an agent. That's something very personal as well. But I like to say always with an agent, because I am one. I'm pretty good at my job. I like to think so. I have had clients. An agent, especially when you don't speak Dutch and you don't know neighborhoods, and you don't know the process, an agent would be very someone that will make your the whole process for you very safe, someone that you have to trust. I always tell people, if you have an intake with me or one of my colleagues and you don't have this click with us, you shouldn't work with us, because we're going to talk a lot. We're going to dig in your financial with your mortgage advisor. We're going to talk about your personal preference, or sometimes personal problems that come in the middle of the negotiation. And so it's for me, it's always important to have the support. I did have for myself as well. It's an agent is someone that have to care for everything, not just for the whole process that include paper contracts and technical inspection and those kind of things, but also look after what is going to happen to you if something wrong happen in the process. So I think it's very important to have an agent, and especially when you're signing papers in Dutch, or when you're buying a house without financial clause, or when you're buying a house that doesn't have that you're not going to do technical inspection to see if everything is okay. That's when an agent comes very handy, because we know the market, we know what you're looking for in those documents, we know where the red flags are. So that's when we can help you a lot. Viewing and researching properties, condition of the property, find out about if you're buying, if you go into the house, first thing you have to, if you have a viewing, the first thing you have to request are the documents of the house. The documents of the house are very important to show what happened in the house during all the years that she's there, that the house is there. Everything, if they have leakage, if they build, they make the house bigger, if they did an extension, or if they change the roofs, those kind of things. All of that will be in those documents. And it's very important for you to know once you put an offer, because let's say you're buying a house that the roof that it comes in the documents that the house is from, I don't know, 1950s, and they don't even know how old are the roof, for example. That's something you need to be aware about it, because it can be really bad, it can be nothing, but if they never check it, if they never clean it, if they never did anything, that's something you should worry about it, because the chances are that in the future you have a problem, or you have to check it. Those things will be in those documents. If you are buying a apartment in the Netherlands, we have, in most of the countries actually, we have the owner association. Find out how much they have in savings. What are the conditions of the owner associations? What have they done in the building so far? Are they planning to do something in the future? Do they have insurance? Those kind of informations about the whole owner associations, and what is included in what you pay. Most likely you're going to pay around 150 a month plus your mortgage. So a lot of buildings in Eindhoven, they have the heating system included in the price, but the old ones, they don't yet, or when they do, it's quite high monthly. It's around 300 euros. I see even one with 350 every month. So that's, you have to take in consideration, you have to pay every month, and then plus your monthly payments for the mortgage. So that information will be in the documents. That's why it's very important for you to know about it. Try to find out about your neighbors. Ask who they are. A lot of times that information is in the documents as well, but I haven't seen it more and more that they're not putting any more in the documents. So ask who they are, if they have children, or I don't know, if it's an old couple, or why, and ask the owner, why are for the agent that is selling the house, why are they selling the house, if there's any particular reason, if they have any problems with the neighbors, those kind of things. Then you will feel more comfortable once you bid for the house, of course. Price research is very important. What I see when people come to me, a lot of people are coming to me because they didn't get their first house, they tried to bid for it, and then when I dig a bit deeper and I ask what happens, what kind of house it was and how much they bid for, they had no clue. They just look at the price, and they never even heard about documents, and they just made a bid from their mind. They because someone told them they should be 10-20% more, and then they just put that price and then put in the offer. And then when I asked them, but can you afford that? Can you how do you know the house is worth it first? And how do you know, can you afford that? And they go like, well, we can afford it, but we don't know if it's worth it. That's very dangerous. So the price research is very, very important for you to know, for more and less, how much the properties around the property you are looking at were sold, because that's what you're going to need to send your offer. And then once the offer is accepted, you're going to need, if you need a mortgage, doesn't matter the value, if you need 10% or 100% mortgage, you need an appraiser has to be at the house to make a valuation report. So in the valuation report, he also will look at the properties around, and he also gonna see for how much they were sold, and based on that, and then in conditions of the house, he will make a report and put a price on the report, and that amount will be how much you're going to get as a mortgage. So let's say you have, I can explain a bit further when the appraiser part comes, but that's what that's what the price research, that's why the price research is so important. This is my colleague Alana. She's lovely. She's from Ireland. Oh, I forgot to say Ireland. She'll be mad at me. Ireland, because I said England and it's Ireland. She's from Ireland. She's lovely. We inform you and assist you during the full process, the purchase process. That's what me and my colleagues do. Alana, it's my colleague that works in Amsterdam. I'm here in the Eindhoven area. We schedule our viewings, and we have different packages. So in one of the packages, we'll be there with you in the viewings as well. We will do the process, property research and price research. Property research is looking through the whole documents and let you know about all the red flags, or explain to you what happens with the whole documents. And price research is do the whole research around the price that they are asking, and see if it's a fair, see if it's too low, or see how high can you go to be in the safe side to get your mortgage approved. And of course, negotiate for you, make the whole offer process draw the offer as well, get everything approved with you to let everything ready to send to the agent, the selling agent. After your offer gets accepted, we will schedule the notary, appraisal, and technical inspector, and join you in the meetings as well and explain everything to you. So then you can be relaxed in that time, because in that time is when you're going to have to start to worry about your mortgage process. That's when you start to have your contact more with your mortgage advisor. So all the other things that have to be done, if in the offer we put technical inspection, we will schedule, and depends on the package, we will be there as well. But if we're not there, we will review the documents with you as well, because the documents, the report, it is in Dutch. So we will review everything with you and let you know what can be negotiable or not from the inspection, for example. Schedule the appraiser and make sure that everything will be okay for your mortgage. Review all the Dutch and legal documents together with you, of course. Submit an offer, final purchase price, dissolving clauses and timelines and deadlines. About the final purchase price, that's what your price research will tell you, right? So you've seen a house of 300, for example, 300,000 on Stripe S. I don't think you can find anything for this price that anymore, but in the Stripe S, and you did a price research, you see that the house around there been sold for around 320, 330, or even less maybe. So that's where more or less you can base your price for the appraisal, if you need a mortgage, for the valuation report. And then we together come to a price to send the offer. And of course, it's your money, it's your decision, but we always going to give our advice on how much we think the house is worth it, and how much you should bid, of course, to be able to get the house. It all depends how much savings you have and how much mortgage you need, of course. The solving clause, this is very important. That's what I see in a lot of people that come to us more like in the desperate periods, because they have no clue. They got an offer accepted and they have no clue what the whole contract is saying. So the solving clause is very important in the contract. So financial clause is one of them. It means that if you don't get the financial, you don't get the mortgage, you can pull out of the deal without paying any penalties. And also the inspection clause. That means that if, let's say, we go to a house, we put an offer, the technical inspection, subject to technical inspection, was in the offer. What it means is that you don't sign the purchase agreement until you do the technical inspection. And you do the technical inspection, the technicals go there, we go all together, and the report comes terrible. He puts on the report that the roof needs fixing now. It's bad and it's leaking or whatever, and it costs 20,000 euros. So that's the time to try to negotiate with the seller to see if it's possible for them to cover, to fix it, or go half-half, or try to find a mediation in the middle. That's what we do. Or for you to step out of the deal without paying any penalties, because you did put that clause. If you don't, most likely they won't let you come for a technical inspection. We have done some of them without putting the clause, but it's very hard to get them to accept it here. But if something goes wrong, if you put that in the offer, it means that you can pull out without paying any penalties to the seller. So that's why the dissolving clause are very important. Timeline and deadline. So search, you have search. You go to the viewing, you send your offer. Once the offer gets accepted, things go really fast. You need to have the appraisal, you need to have the technical inspection. They will send you a concept of the contract. You need to have a notary and you need to sign. Most like all this will happen in about 1.5 weeks. So it's really fast. And after that, it starts your period to get your mortgage approved. Inspection and appraisal. Okay, so our offer got accepted from our 300,000 house in Stripe S. It's time to get the technical inspection. Foundation inspection we don't do, never actually, here in the Eindhoven region. This is more for the houses in Amsterdam or near to Amsterdam and Rotterdam, because you know the Netherlands and water. So that's quite kind of that they use that a lot. But in Eindhoven we don't have that problem. So foundation inspection, it would be, if something comes up in the foundation, it would be in the documents in Eindhoven. You would see straight away. an appraiser and a contractor in case if you want to do any renovation. I bought my house and it's from 1929, 28. Actually, I found out it's from 1903, which was very impressive. But for example, we renovate the whole house, the 3 floors. But before I signed my purchase agreement, I called a constructor and I told him like, you need to come to the house with me today, tomorrow max, because they want me to sign the contract. They were pressuring us, of course, because they had a better offer. But they accepted mine for some reasons, because my clause in the contract and the offer were different. But I need to know how much it would cost more and less, and see if I have all the cash to do the renovation, because the house was not possible to live in the house. It was awful inside, so I needed to know. So we brought someone very quick. He was there within a day, and he walked around for about 30 minutes and put everything on a paper. We told him everything we'd like to do, so he gave us an estimation of how much it would cost to renovate everything. With that estimation plus what I need in a mortgage, we could calculate if it was possible for us to have everything done, and if you would have money enough to do everything. So that's the time to bring someone if you need to do a new kitchen or a new floor, or just extend the house. We extend the house, for example. So if you want to extend the house, those kind of things, it is possible sometimes to get part of the money from the bank. So that's why you need a constructor. An appraiser. The appraiser is the one that's going to tell the bank how much you can borrow, actually. Not how much you can borrow, that the bank will tell you your budget, but the appraiser, let's say if you have a budget of 500,000 euros, but if the appraiser comes and said that the house, it's only the value of the house, the real value, our house on Stripe, yes, remember 300,000. And then the appraiser said, well, actually the house is only worth at 290. It doesn't matter how much you can borrow from the bank. You will only able to get 100%. So that's 290. So that's why the appraiser and price research is very important, because if you put an offer of 350 and it got accepted, and an appraiser comes and said, well, the house is not worth it 350, it's worth it 340, then or you pay that other 10K in cash, or you have to pull out of the deal, and because you're not going to get the 350 from the bank. That doesn't matter if you have a higher budget. But he also can come to the house and say that the house is worth 360. So that's also a good thing. But that all depends on your price research. That's why it's so important. The technical inspection is exactly what I told you. He will look, what I told you before, he will look at the house, at the documents as well. I myself always send the technical inspection the documents of the house as well, so he can see the documents and look for specifics. So let's say we saw in the documents that there was mold in the bathroom, so he knows he will specifically look at that, but he also going to look at the roof, the walls, the outside of the house. He comes with this huge ladder and go outside and look at everything. It's quite nice actually to see his work. He's very picky. He's always trying to find something. The one I work more close, so which is good for my client. And then he will take pictures of everything. I always tell my clients to go with him when I'm not there, to go with him, because that's the time where he can explain to you as well what is wrong, what is not, what you could do, how much would cost, and when you have to make it. For example, in the report, the ones we have in Eindhoven, it always comes direct, 2 to 5 years, and 5 to 10 years. So what it means is direct, it means that you have to fix it right away. You have like maximum a year to fix that, because it will go wrong. 2 to 5, you're okay, and then 5 to 10, right? So that's exactly what I do. Let's say he goes to your roof and take a look and said, well, this needs fixing now. And then he will put the price more or less. He tends to post a very high price that he can find, because then you don't have surprise when you do it your own price research for that. And then from that, so he does that for every single thing that he sees in the house, every single thing he takes pictures. So when you are in the house, for example, you can ask him, how can I fix it? Do you think how much more and less would cost? So those things you will see on his report. He sends afterwards for a few hours, or the other day max, within 12 hours or so, you have a report and everything will be written there. But if you go, when you are there with him, you can already ask what are the improvements to be done, and if it's a good thing or not, or bad, those kind of questions you can have already an answer there. So Michelle, that's talks about the appraisal a little bit. The bank will ask Michelle for a report before confirming your mortgage. That's exactly what I told you before. The bank needs to know how much the house is worth. That's the thing. There's no way to run from this unless you don't need a mortgage at all. But if you do, even if it's 10%, 5%, or 100%, you do need a report. That's mandatory in the Netherlands. So we would make the appointment for the appraiser to be at the house as soon as possible. In our company, we do like to bring the appraiser before signing the purchase agreement. A lot of people, most of the people actually, bring the appraiser only after they sign the purchase agreement. I particularly find very dangerous. I wouldn't do that for myself. So if you're doing that on your own, keep that in mind. Bring the appraiser before you sign anything. Because if the appraiser comes to the house and everything goes wrong with the price that you offer, then you can pull out of the deal without paying any penalty. If you didn't put the right clause in your offer, you might have to pay 10% off the purchase price to the seller. So be careful with that. So he will come, and after your offer is accepted, determine the value. So you look at the comparable properties, the same thing you do for your price research. So in the recent past, when we say recent past, is max a year, because before that the prices were much different than they are now. And if it's an apartment, she will also have to look to all the documents of the VVA, the owner association. The bank will also look at all the documents from the owner association as well. Independent party called NEWWI will review the report before sharing with the bank. That's exactly what they do. She makes the whole report, and then there's a system called NEWWI, and the report will stay there for a few days until they approve everything, and then you receive your report, and then you can share with the bank. And that's what is going to be used to approve your mortgage. This all might take you 3 to 7 days. I would say for the report to be ready, for you to have the PDF file, it would take, I would put that to 10 to 12 days. Actually, they're quite busy these days. But it's not the appraiser itself, but the association, the NEWWI, is taking a little bit more time to approve everything. But as long as you have someone there and that someone can give you a green light, you're good to go. The building inspector, Melly will come with your request, check the proper conditions. The inspection will be a visual inspection. She will share the report with you in 2 days. That's the technical inspection. So that's what we talked about being in the house, look at every inch of the house, taking pictures, look at the documents as well, and make sure that everything is okay with the house, and there's no mold or not a bad roof or leakage, those kind of things. And then she'll make the report and share with you, and then it's up to you. Of course, those costs are yours. It's up to you to have that or not in the offer. But if you've been in the house and you see that it's a bit more old, I would say we always advise people to do the technical inspection if the house is older than 20-25 years. The inspector itself said that as well. I remember I had a house that I shared with our inspector here, not our inspection, we don't have one, someone that we work with in Eindhoven, and the house was about 18 years old, and he looked at everything. He said, Diovana, there's no need, this house is quite nice. So it really depends. We always say about the house are older than 20 to 25 years, but it really depends. It's a house to house. For example, I have a very old house, but I did renovate everything. So my house is actually, the walls outside are very old, but the inside, it's quite new. But so it's not really necessary to have someone here if I sell the house, but that will be in the documents. The people who get the documents from my house, if one day I sell it, will see that I renovate everything in 2018. 19. So that's up to you to decide. But if you have any doubt, bring someone. Then you are clear, you don't have any problems, and then you have a more peace of mind, right? Purchase contract. This is very important. What is a purchase contract? Purchase contract is a deal between you and the seller. It's what will make the house yours. It's what is going to be sent to the notary and to start the process of making the transfer deed. It's what's going to be sent to the bank for the bank to be able to give you the mortgage as well. So in the purchase agreement, you see the 10% bank guarantee that's mandatory. That's the fine. It's the deposit that has to be sent to the notary, and it will be held. The note will hold the deposit until the day of the transfer, and then if they didn't have to use and they won't use, finger crossed, everything will be fine. It means they will give the money back to the bank. So in the purchase contract, you see the purchase price, you see how much of mortgage you will have to use. Some people know the value of the house, so not know, but they from our side, we tell them more or less how much the house is worth it. So for example, you can put in the contract that you need 100% mortgage. That means that you don't have any savings to pay the difference. But some people have, well, I need 345,000 as a mortgage, but I do have more 20,000 cash. So they can also write that in the contract. It really depends what kind of a deal you're going to make. But that's what we see in the purchase agreement. When is going to be the transfer date as well. You're going to see all your data, all the data from the seller. You're going to see all the information in the house, again, in the questionnaire of the house, things that that are or are not related to the house in the questions. And you're going to see also the financial clause or not. A lot of people are buying these days without financing, and that's not a problem when you do have everything checked. Like not only 100%, it's a 300% check. And if you work with us, for example, I will check more 300% times, it's ever even possible, with your mortgage advisor, just to make sure that you don't have any financial problems in the future, and that you don't have to, because when you don't have a financial clause, you do have to pay 10% of the purchase price to the seller. So in a house of 350, it means that 35,000 euros have to be paid for the seller in case you don't get your mortgage approved. And that's very dangerous. So that's why I always tell my clients, please be as much as you can. I think the mortgage advisor is also a click. You have to trust the mortgage advisor for him to give you a green light to go and buy without a financial clause. But basically, that's the contract is quite simple actually, but it's more about being careful. We don't have contracts in English yet. In Amsterdam, I think it's more common now. We do have explanation of each article in the not us, but the notaries here and the agencies, the real estate agents. They don't, what they send together with the Dutch contract, they send an explanation of each article. And sometimes they have different clauses as well. Nowadays, I see a clause called about the house being owed. So that's a clause that you have to take in consideration as well, because it means that you are buying an older house, and if something happens, you cannot complain in the future. It's basically what it said. So if something major happens, the seller will not do anything to help you out. So those little clauses will be in the contract. If you have a technical inspection, they also going to most likely they're going to put in the contract that you did a technical inspection and everything was okay or not, or some things were negotiable, those kind of things. All that you will see in the contract. And of course, the transfer date, I think I already said that you, and a lot of them already come with the name of the notary of your choice. The notary is paid, I think it will come in the front, but you have to pay the notary. After you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 days. So you only sign the purchase agreement after you do the inspection and have the appraiser do the valuation report as well, and be sure that the amount of being in that report. And then you get the purchase agreement. You look at everything, see if the financial clause is there or not, see if everything that you ask for in the offer is there, see the date if it's okay, your data, of course. And then once you sign, you have 3 days, we call the cool-off period, 3 days to get out of the deal without paying any penalty. What that means, it's literally that you have 3 days to think about it. And the day only counts from midnight from the day you sign the contract. So if you sign the contract on the, I always tell my clients, we're going to sign the contract on Wednesday. It's funny because Wednesday is my day off, and I always have clients signing the contract on Wednesday, and I ended up always working for a few hours just to help them out. But it's the best time to sell, to sign. It's on a Wednesday, because then you have Thursday, Friday, Sunday, and Saturday and Sunday and Monday to get out of the deal. You have 5 days, because you can the contract can only be broke during bank holidays, bank working days. So during working days, not on holidays or weekends or nothing. So if you sign on a Wednesday, then you have until Monday to, I don't know, maybe you freaked out, or maybe it's, you just make an offer because you were tired to not finding anything. It was just, you know, too much of a step. It was just too much for you, and decide to, you don't have to say anything to anyone. You just get out of the deal, don't sign anything, and then you're safe. You don't have to pay any penalty. After those 3 days, the only way you can pull out of the deal is if your contract has a financial clause. If it doesn't, it doesn't matter what happens, you will have to pay 10% fine to the seller. So be aware of that. Okay. And then after those 3 days is start the timing, the period for you to secure your mortgage. From that day on, most likely in your contract, it will come of 6 weeks for you to sign in the contract. There is a catch sometimes. Be aware of the date, count the 6 weeks time, and see the correct date. I have seen it a lot in Eindhoven, companies that count 6 weeks after the day they said yes to our offer, and that's not fair. The 6 weeks is after you get your purchase agreement signed. So if it takes too long, for example, for you to sign the purchase contract, it takes you like 2 weeks, then the date that will be there, that means you only have 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved. It's enough time, it's enough. Most mortgages are approved even before, but if something goes wrong, I prefer my clients to have 6 weeks. So just pay attention on the dates. The notary. The notary is something that you have to pay for it. My first tip is pick the cheapest one. They all do the same job in the Netherlands. The documents are exactly the same for everyone. They literally send the same email even to start the process. They only change names. And we have a lot of people buying now, and they don't have to pay the transfer taxes. And they ended up calling me after the notary gets their contract and say, oh, Diovana, they put the transfer taxes. I'm like, okay, this is the first email. It's the same for everyone. It's just for you to know that you are in the system. It doesn't mean that you have to pay anything, but it's super easy. But the good thing about the notary in the Netherlands is that they do kind of a checkup in the house as well. They go backwards to all the first documents in the house, and they check if everything it's literally correct. So they will make the mortgage deed and the transfer deed for you. The bank also needs the notary's name and email address, those kind of things, because they will send everything from the mortgage to the notary as well, to them. And they will make the transfer deed. That is the actual contract that will make you the owner of the house. So that's what basically the notary do. If you don't speak Dutch, it's mandatory in the Netherlands for you to have an interpreter. I'm going to give you one more tip. Do it in English. And Eindhoven is pretty expensive to get in any other language. I paid so much for the first interpreter in my own language about 5 years ago. And then for the second house, I was like, no, we just do it in English. It was more than 60% cheaper than the first one. So in English is much cheaper. If you buy a house in a city that is more than 25, sometimes it's 25, that's also going to be in a purchase agreement, 20 or 25 kilometers from where the house is located. Then you have to pay the kilometers for the seller as well, and the seller might not agree with the choice of the notary. So look for the notary near to your house, where from the house you buy it. And normally the notaries in small cities are cheaper as well around Eindhoven. It's not actually so expensive here if compared to big cities. Transfer date and handover. So everything is done. you put your offer, got accepted, technical inspection, appraiser, you sign the purchase agreement. It's in the notary right now, and the mortgage process is started. So it's time, and it's approved. So it's time for you to get your key day. Is the key day. It's time for you to get your key. So what is going to happen before you go into the notary? Transfer day. You're going to go to the property about 1.5, depending how far is the property from the notary, and if you have a car or not. But I like to go 1 hour before, depends on the client. You go to the house. The selling agent will be there. Your agent will be there if you have one. And then you walk around to the property, look if everything it's the same way when you saw the house. It has to be as well. That also is going to be in the purchase agreement, saying that the seller is not allowed to change anything else in the house. He's allowed to fix it stuff and let you know. He needs to let you know if something broke, and fix it, because when you bought it, everything was okay. But he's not allowed to do any changes, build something or break a wall or something. He's not allowed to. But you go to the property, you look at everything, and normally it's quite a nice thing to do. Normally people only meet the sellers when they are in the final inspection. So, and people who lived in the house for a long time, of course, have some kind of emotional attachment with the house. So you meet the sellers, he shows you everything, he shows how things works. A lot of sellers, most of them have like this huge box with everything from the house, all the manuals from the kitchen, for example, all the guarantees in the house as well, because they will be passed to you if there is any. But for example, when people have solar panels, most likely, because it's a new thing, they have like 20 years guarantee. So the guarantee stays within the house. So it will be passed to you. Then they explain how everything works, how you turn on and off, those kind of things. And then, of course, there are going to be pictures of the meter readings, the gas, electricity, and water, because from that day on, the house is yours. And then and they make a report. And if everything is okay, you sign it, the seller sign. If you bought anything from the seller, most likely it'll be in the house. So you're going to check if everything's fine. Then you can pay him if you like to, or depends on the agreement you did. You pay the notary or you pay him directly, depends. And then it's time for you to go to the notary. Once you go to the notary, you will sign your transfer deed. That's the deal between you and the seller, and that's when the house becomes yours. And nobody's in the middle. It's just yours and yours to pay, actually. And then it's also when you sign the mortgage deed. That is the deal between you and the bank. How much you're going to pay monthly, what are your interest rates, and they also going to explain to you what happens if you don't pay and how long you have to do this and that. It depends, right? Depends what kind of mortgage you're going to get. And that's also the day you need to have all the expenses paid. What are the expenses? We're going to show you a bit further, but it's basically the notary, the agents, the mortgage advisor, or the bank, like what? Taxes, everything that includes buying a house. That's not the purchase price. You have to pay actually 24 hours before you go to the notary. Landlord liability. This is a very gray zone, and I want to explain to you why. Because there is no legislation that said that if something happens with the house within 2 months, the landlord, the seller has to fix it. So, but there is also this common sense, right? You bought a house, you moved in the first week, and then the roof come out, just poof, fall on your head, for example. That's something you didn't do for sure. So that's the landlord liability. Most likely the seller will come and have to fix it, those things. But we always like to say, not us, but it's common sense with all the agents and the people working in the field, around 2 months. But I always tell my clients in the first week, turn everything on, literally, even if it's not warm, if it's not cold, try everything in the kitchen, try all the radiators, try all the lights, all the power outlets, everything. Because if something is not working in that moment, then there is still time to get the seller to do something about it. But if it takes too long, the seller might say, well, you already living there. How do I know you didn't break, for example? So it's a very delicate period, but it's really a common sense, and the sellers are aware of that as well. But of course, you have sellers and sellers. Huh? Some people are really nice and they know that they have to, and some people are just I cannot say bad words right now, right? It's too early for that. But some people are not so nice, they might just say no, and that's it. So then you need a lawyer, they need a lawyer, then it's a big issue, right? But of course, if it's a big thing, you should. Let me give you an example. I think it's easy, right? I had a client who bought a house, who got his keys and moved into the house. We did the last inspection, and the house, it's not old house. I think the house was about 40 to 50 years. That's not old. It looks nice, actually. But the kitchen, it was about 16 years old, which is not so old as well, but it's a 16-year-old kitchen, right? So my client was there, lived in the house for 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a half, and the dishwasher broke. And then he comments like, well, he has to fix it. And I'm like, wait a second. Did you use the dishwasher? And he goes like, yeah, of course. We use it every day, sometimes 2-3 times a day, because we have kids. And then I'm like, you see, it's difficult because they did use the dishwasher for many times before it broke. And it is a kitchen that is 16 years old. So it's of course the seller said no, we use the kitchen. Then you need to hire someone to prove that you didn't break it, that it was bad already, and we should have fixed it before, for example. So my client hired someone, and the guy said it was just bad luck. It just broke. It's no one's fault. So it's, of course, the seller didn't want to pay for it. He didn't pay for it. In this case, it was literally bad luck. But he was not the best seller, I have to say as well. Maybe another seller would have paid at least for half of it. That's what we always try to do. Okay, let's break even, like, half, and then we see how it goes. But in this case, it was only a no. But we had cases, for example, that the people paid for everything. So that's why I always say to my clients, it is a gray zone. It's not because you move in and things will start to break, or it's not like the way you are that you can just charge the seller. Again, you're not buying a new home if it's not if you're not the first person to live there, if you not did everything by yourself, then you cannot throw everything into the seller, of course, but there are a lot of things that the seller is responsible. So just for you guys to understand. Let's make a timeline, because you already got your keys from our house in the Stripe S. So you do your search at Funda. You like the house, you make the appointments. You got the house at 10:30 in the app. Remember, they love to put the house after 10 o'clock in the evening. I don't know why, it drives me crazy. But that's when you found the house. You send the email, as I told you, like immediately. And then the other day, you're going to call as well. I forgot to tell you, send the email, and then at 9 o'clock in the morning, you call just to make sure. And then you got a view. You went to the view, you ask for the documents. Remember to ask for the documents. When you call make the appointment and you get the appointment, you already say, can you please send me the documents? And if they say, what documents? You say, well, the cash questionnaire, the ones with questions. That's what you say. They know already already what it is. Most likely, they're not going to offer to you. So you do have to ask for them. Then you see you went to the house, you like it very much. You see the questionnaire, everything is okay. You did your price research. After you go to the house, you like it so much, it's time for you to do a price research to know how much more or less the house is worth it. So you make your offer based on that. It's time to send your offer. In your offer, you're going to think about all the clauses you'd like to have. If you think it needs a technical inspection because you were there, you were like not so sure about it. And if you need 100% financial, then that should be in the offer. And this is the time as well. You already spoke with the market advisor. You know your budget and you know how far can you go. Okay. So you make an offer and the offer gets accepted. So it got accepted. What do you do? First thing, appraiser. Even before technical inspection, call the appraiser. Make sure he will be there in time. Call the inspection. Make sure he's there. Because as I told you, they're not going to give you more than a week and a half or so. They're not going to wait for you. If you don't sign the purchase agreement quick, they're going to give to someone else. So you have to be quick. So bring the appraiser, bring the technical inspection. Call your mortgage advisor, tell him you got an offer approved. So then he already know which documents he needs right away, that it would take a little bit more time for you or for your company to get it. Once the appraiser is done and he confirmed to you that the price will be okay, the technical inspection went there, everything was fine. About the technical inspection, I forgot to say something. Anything that is above around 5,000 to 6,000 euros in the when they said that from 0 to 1 year old, to 1 year old, to 0 to 1 year, that you have to fix it. Above 6,000 euros, I would say to you, try to 5 to 6,000, try to negotiate it. Below that, if the house, if already someone live in the house for long, if it's a house of like 30, 40, 50 years, it's normal. You're always going to have some little things to do. So think about that when you want to negotiate something. But everything, it's okay in this house that we are buying. The appraiser is fine. The technical inspection is fine. So it's fine. It's time for you to look at the signing, the purchase agreement. So they will send you a concept. Read everything properly. See if the dates are correct. See if there is a financial clause. If there is not, make sure if it was not in your offer, then it's fine. But if it's not there and you put it in your offer, then you have to call them and ask them, where is the financial clause? Because if you sign it without it, remember, if you don't get a mortgage approved, you have to pay 10% fine. So look at all the documents that are there, see your passport numbers if are correct, if the dates of the transfer are correct, and then it's time for you to pick a notary as well. In this time is when you choose a notary. Again, choose the cheapest one. They all do the same in Eindhoven, remember, in the whole Netherlands actually. And then you can tell them, well, I'm okay with the contract, I'm ready to sign. So they will give the contract to the seller, most likely first, the seller will sign, and then you will receive. In Corona time, you sign everything online. You don't have to go to their office or anything. So it's super easy. Once they sign the contract, remember, you are signing on a Wednesday, not before that. So or on a Friday is fine, because then you haven't to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's okay. And then if you sign the contract, and you have the 3 days to get out of the deal. The 3 days are passed. You will go through with your house. You call your mortgage advisor, send him the contract, and tell him you already did the appraiser. And once the document, the report is done, you send to your mortgage advisor as well. And then he will start the whole process of getting your mortgage approved. We put an average of 4 weeks. That's not what is going. That's an average for your mortgage to be approved. But normally the contracts, it comes with 6 weeks. Be aware of that. What is after 4 weeks? Let's say your mortgage is approved. What is a statement of completion? Completion is when you receive an invoice from the notary to everything you have to pay regarding the house. That is not the mortgage. Such as, for example, if you hire me, our company, you pay me, the mortgage advisor, the taxes of the house, you pay the notary itself, you pay. What else? The translator, we'll see what all the expenses are. So that's the time where you pay your invoice. So, and then after that, it's a matter of time to wait until you actually get your keys. It depends. The house we are seeing today, we are almost mid of May, a little bit more than mid of May. So most houses you will move in around August, September, October already. So that's when you go to the notary and you do your, first you go to the house, do your final inspection, then you go to the notary. So let's take a look at this. This is the big timeline. Start, that's the search, offer, average 1 to 2 weeks until you sign. You see in the middle of this, we have technical inspection, appraiser, and then look at the whole documents and everything, signing. And then after you sign, remember the 3 days, always on Wednesday, you have more or less 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved, but take a look at the contract, see if there are 6 weeks there, ask for it, it doesn't hurt. Then you have a little bit more time if something goes wrong. And then once your mortgage it's approved, it's just wait until the handover date, until you go to the notary, get your keys. And then after you get to the notary, you have the 2 months liability, the gray zone, that you have to more or less to check everything in the house. Again, do it at the first, second week to see if everything works and if everything is fine. This is the whole process. Purchase cost. What do you have to pay, as also known as closing fees? What do you have to pay if that besides the mortgage? Those are the purchase costs. So you have to pay the 2% purchase price. So if you are younger than 35 and never bought a house in the Netherlands, and you're buying a house that is cheaper, that it's than 400,000 euros, you don't have to pay transfer taxes. If you have a partner and your partner is 36, but you are 33, you pay 1% purchase price. If you have a partner that it's 34, 32, and you are 30, but your partner already bought a house in the Netherlands, you still pay 1%, but your partner doesn't get the other 1%, just so you know. And it has to be a house max of 400,000, 399 actually, 400,000, you already paid the tax. So just so you know. What are the prices? Bank and mortgage broker, it's such a different price. You have the banks between 1,500, the brokers 3,400. In Eindhoven, I would say for the mortgage advisor is around 2,750, 3,000 more or less. It's a bit cheaper, but the bank, it's more expensive now. I think it's 1,800 now. Notary, yes, 1,350, and we normally the notary we use because it's cheaper is around 1,550. Here in Eindhoven, the 1,350 would be the notaries in the cities around Eindhoven, the small village. They are cheaper as well. The real estate agent. So that's the thing. The real estate agent, if you hire an agent, that is not us, you most likely will have to pay 1 to 2% from the purchase price to the agent to help you out. At our company, we have fixed fee. So it doesn't matter how many houses you see, how many offers we have to put, or how long it takes. We are with you until you find your house or until you just say you don't want to see us anymore. We charge a fixed fee, so you can see as much house as you like. We can work with you as long as you need. Our goal is to help you find your house and have a very smooth process, an enjoyable process. So we don't think it's fair to put a percentage and charge someone that buying a house of 1 million or 2%, and then someone that buys 100, and we work even more and then make them pay less. So that's why we have a fixed fee, and with no maximum of work, I would say. A translator will cost 250 to 300. Be aware, if you hire one that speaks, I paid 550, I believe, the first time. I was like 5 years ago. Really, go for the English one. That's the real price for the English. Anything other than that is too expensive. The appraiser is here in Eindhoven 550. Most of them have the more or less the same price. You'll see on the other side what is tax deductible, what you can have back from the government, from the Dutch government in your taxes. So the appraiser is tax deductible. The mortgage broker is tax deductible. The notary, 50% only the mortgage deed. So you get, because this amount, 1350, in Eindhoven 1550, it's for everything in the notary. That's not the translator. So each deal, I think, it's about 600 something, 700 something with VAT. So you get 50% back on that one, on the mortgage deed. You have the technical inspector. We put a price of 550 because that's a common price in the Netherlands, but in Eindhoven, it costs 275 if he doesn't have to drive more than 10 kilometers or something like that. He also charged the kilometers. And bank guarantee. If you don't have the 10% of the purchase price to pay, to send to the notary, that your savings, for example, then you have to pay the bank to help you out. It's like a little loan. They charge 1% for you to be able to borrow that amount from the bank. And there is something that is not here. If I know a lot of people in Eindhoven choose the NHG, the National Mortgage Guarantee. They have better rates, interest rates, really cheap actually. I think it's about 1.3 now, 1.2. So it's quite low, but they do charge you to be able to get that kind of a mortgage. It's 0.7% of the purchase price once. You have to pay once and then you get that mortgage. But you do have to buy a house no more than 325. So let me be very clear. If you buy a house of 350, but let's say you only need 325 of a mortgage, and you think like, oh, I'm going to go for the NHG, the National Bank Guarantee, you can't. The purchase price has to be less than 320, maximum 325. So you can't buy anything more and say to the bank that, oh, I'm only going to finance 325. No, it's the value, it's the purchase price, is the value of the property that has to be maximum 325. But then you have a very interest rate. So we are done with the presentation. Feel free to schedule an intake with me. This free 15 minutes. It is free, the intake, but the 15 minutes, I have to be honest, is a lie. It never takes 15 minutes. It takes seriously 30 to 45. I don't mind. So you see my email address, you see our webpage. If you have, we're going to go through all the questions now, but if afterwards you forget something, you need some answers, please send me an email. I'll be happy to help you. And yeah, let's see. This is our social media. We put a lot of things that could help you out in the process. A lot of articles as well about the house market in Eindhoven that are in Dutch, and we ended up doing a little summary of everything, so you can see all the news in the Dutch market. So that's quite nice. And now it's time for the questions. My colleague Ludo will help me out.
Yes, indeed. Always my
favorite
water. Part.
Oh, yes.
Take some water. You've talked enough.
Sorry.
I'm just from top to bottom regarding the questions. Please excuse my pronunciation of the names. I'm doing my best, but we have people from all over the world.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to do my best. The first question is from Dulga. He or she asks, what is the best source or web page to compare mortgage interest rates?
Oh, to compare mortgage interest rates, huh? Yeah, that's the catch. That's what the mortgage advisor do, actually. you unfortunately you have to go to each website from each bank that you have access and look at them. Yeah, sorry, there's no specific web, not that I know of it. I can try to ask around, but I don't know, right, Ludo? I don't think there is any specific that you can compare. Yeah, because that's exactly what the mortgage advisor does. When you ask him for comparables, he actually shows you like a big sheet with a specific website, and then all like those 30 something 40 institutions and every single interest rate from them. So I don't think you're going to have access to that.
The mortgages are not available to the public.
Yeah.
So it's only by a mortgage advisor or a financial advisor that can offer those products indeed. The next question is from an anonymous attendee. Two questions actually. I think the first question is also a question that needs to be asked to a mortgage or a financial advisor. I'm going to ask it anyway. At what range of a price should you look for a house if you are a single person and earning at skill 11 and working at the TU in Eindhoven? Second question is also, what should be the down payment if you choose a house?
The down payment, well, the first question, there's no way I can answer that. It really depends on your, I don't know about your salary. Situation. Yeah, your salary, your kind of contract. I know I had an experience before. If you work for TU and want to send me an email, or I can actually tell the name of the mortgage advisor. I had an experience before. I do have a client from the TU that works at TU now, and they had a budget of, I think it was like 240 or 250. And I told them with the contract they have and the salary they have that I knew that seems too low for me. So I asked them to, and they had a mortgage advisor, so I asked them to have a second opinion. They call a colleague from Expat Mortgage, and the budget went up of 75,000 euros because the TU has different contracts, I know, with different, which every people that comes, they have different contracts. So yeah, you do have to check that with the mortgage advisor. It really depends on your contract, sorry. And the second question was about?
How much the down payment should be.
The down payment, it also depends on the mortgage, right? You make, believe you mean the year down payment?
Sorry?
Does he mean the year down payment that he could do for the mortgage?
I'm not so sure. Maybe the down payment that you pay towards the sellers. That could also be.
That could also
the
be
10%.
The 10% bank guarantee, yeah, the 10% that you need to pay, but the amount you can borrow from the bank, if you don't have it, that's fine. But if you mean about the down payment, yearly down payment, that really it's negotiable. It depends on your mortgage. You have 10% and you have 20% per year that you could pay without paying any fine.
Oh, yeah, exactly. To pay off your mortgage a little bit quicker.
To pay off your mortgage, yeah.
Okay, all right. The next question is again from Dulga. Can you name some cases where the buyer needs to pay the 10% penalty?
I professionally no, because I don't know. It didn't ever happen to someone to my company, but I do have a colleague. But it was way before I worked with in this company. I think it was about 8 years ago. They bought a house near to Arnhem, and they didn't know about the 10%, and they ended up going there 2 or 3 times. They didn't like it at all, and they pulled out of the deal, and they had to pay 55,000 euros to the seller. It took 6 months for the whole period for the whole process to happen, because they needed a lawyer and the seller needed a lawyer, and the judge ended up to deciding that they had to pay. That's the only person I know so far. And in our company, I don't think we have any case. No, it's very rare, you know, because it has to go really the wrong way. I mean, we checked everything. You're gonna check everything. Your mortgage advisor will check everything. So I don't expect that to happen. No, but I know one person.
And when can it happen? Can you tell me about that, maybe?
Yes, I can help. I can. When can it happen? If you don't have the financial clause, for example, and you don't get your financial approved, your mortgage approved, let's say the bank denies your mortgage, then you will have to pay 10% bank guarantee, the 10% fine to the seller from the purchase price. If you just wake up one day and don't want to have the house anymore just because you don't want to, you will pay. The only way you get out of the sorry?
Yeah. After signing that, if you've already signed the contract.
It's always after the signed the purchase agreement, and that's why I said it. Do everything before appraisal, so you know for sure the real price of the house. And if it comes something that you did not expect, you just pull out of the deal, and then you don't have to pay. And do the technical inspection before, because after you sign, if something comes wrong, and you don't have the financial clause, for example, and then you have to pay the 10% bank guarantee. Or if you just decided to get out of the deal because you want to, you will have to pay the 10% guarantee. So more or less, yeah, there is one that is very specific. If you don't get your financial proof, you will have to pay 10%. And if you didn't have an offer with the financial clause and you didn't get and the bank doesn't approve your mortgage, you will have to pay the 10%.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see, a question from David. If the foundation inspection is also required or advised, how bigger does the inspection fee become?
That I will let with you, Ludo. Do you have any idea how much it would be, and how much you guys?
Not so sure. It's not that much. I know, for example, that if for the technical inspection and you would like to renovate the property as well, you'll need to fill in a renovation report to tell them what you would like to renovate, etc., etc. The fee is only an extra 50 euros. So I can imagine that the foundation inspection is around the same height of fee. To be honest, I'm not so sure because the foundation inspection, we do it sometimes, but a lot of properties in Amsterdam where I am based, they were split within the last 5 to 10 years. And when a apartment building is split, they always have to have a either renewed or completely fine foundation. And as a foundation has a lifespan of quite a long time, normally a foundation check is not needed.
Yeah, and sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What I already see is that most likely when you need a foundation inspection, the seller will provide it anyway. He probably done it himself in this case.
All right, then a question from anonymous attendee. Are there actually any houses in Eindhoven or Veldhoven within the range of 150,000 to 200,000?
No, no, there is no. Unfortunately, no. I'm sorry. No, you might be able to find a small apartment. There was one in Eindhoven about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was 140,000. It was 42 square meters, I believe. And that one, I was even in the news because it was the cheapest one in so many times and so many years. But that was most likely didn't sold for that price. It was sold for way more than that. But yeah, in that range it's a bit more difficult. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then we have a question from Christina. She asks, is there somewhere where we can see the extra costs?
You will receive
However,
this. You will receive this presentation afterwards, so you can see all the extra costs.
Yeah, exactly. They and otherwise we also have a slide on our website where you can just put in the calculator what kind of price you're looking at, what your current situation is, and then we give you an estimation of what the purchase costs could be. Then we have a question from Dolga. What is the average time of actually getting the mortgage approved?
It is 4 weeks. From after you sign the purchase agreement, it's quite quickly though lately. Last year during the first period of Corona, I think because a lot of people got sick or just it was the whole getting used to this working from home, because all the people from the banks are working from home as well. It took a bit more time, but not lately, for a long time already. I had one client who got approved in 1.5 weeks. So if you have everything ready and your mortgage advisor is a good one, it's quite quick. It can go, I would say, average 4 weeks. In the contract, most likely the date will be a maximum 6, but it will average 4. But I'm almost certain that will be approved even before.
Yeah, exactly. That's my experience as well. But
yeah,
it's always good
quite quick
to
now.
have a little bit more time just to be sure, of
just
course.
in case. Yeah, just in case, because especially now with the summer holidays, in Eindhoven they start on the 23rd, I think, of July. For the schools will be closed for 6 weeks. I see the difference between because a lot of people will be on holidays. Then you see that they might take, instead of 3-4 weeks, because there are not enough people working. That might be affecting the process. But then everybody knows as well, if you need a bit more time, it won't be a problem.
Okay, then the next question is from Aras. He or she asks, how high should we actually bid? Is there a rule of thumb?
There's no rule. It really depends on your price research and in the region as well. There are some regions that you need to go high or you're not going to get it, period. There's nothing else to discuss. It's like quite simple. But there are places that you don't have to go so high, that you have to really, also because you're not going to be able to sell it for that amount in the future. Not even after 3 years. It really depends on the neighborhood, on the city you're bidding for. If you're buying a house, or an apartment here inside the ring in Eindhoven, most likely you sell really quick if you have to, and then whatever you pay, and if you wait for 3 to 5 years, you're gonna get back. But if you buy a house in the middle of a city that there's no good public transportation, or that the prices are not so the appraisal, the actual value of the house is not so high, then if you bid too high, you're not going to get that money back in the 3 years. We always tell people to at least buying with the 3 years. So it really depends where you're going to buy, where region, and how long the house is in the market, what are the features of the house as well, if it's a new one, if it's what we see is that expats, we like to have a house that it's newer, that is that you don't have to do much, that you don't have to get in any trouble to fix it anything. Says the person who bought a house and completely renovated. So don't take me as an example, but what we see, I'm here way too long already, but what we see from expats is that most of us would like to have a newer house. So the tendency is that you have to bid more for those houses, because you're going to have people with more money for that.
Okay, all right. Then another question from Dulka. What deadlines should I consider seriously in the contract?
Mortgage, the mortgage deadline, how long you have to get your mortgage approved. The bank guarantee deadline, if you are paying with your own money, you also have to pay attention to that. In case you have a mortgage advisor or the bank, then the bank will be the one responsible for that. But the mortgage approval is the most important. So let's say your mortgage get delayed or something like that. So you need to be aware of those things. If you need a few days more, just because something in the system or some document got delayed or something like that, it's okay to call the selling part and ask for a few days. It's normal. But then when it becomes too much, they might charge you something for that. So you have to be aware of that.
Exactly. Another date that is also good to put in your agenda is the actual transfer date.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Because you want to be there when you get the keys. But yeah, indeed, that covers it all. Yeah. That was our last question for tonight, actually.
Oh, okay. So this is it. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me see. I always have another slide, not today, but let me see. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Ludo, for helping me out. Again, if you have more questions, please send me an email. I'll be happy to help you. You will receive this the presentation. You will receive the video as well. So, and if you need our help, please go to our website or schedule intake. We'll be happy to help you. And thank you for being here.
Cool. Thank you, Diovana.
Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone. Bye bye.